First of all, I've laid my fabric down and it's folded. You will notice here that I have my leg patterns laid out and I've turned one upside down to fit the pattern on the fabric that I have. If I didn't and I turned them the right way, I would have to make sure that my fabric is laid out long ways so that I can fit one above the other using more fabric, which I couldn't. But because this fabric was so busy, I was able to turn one of the legs upside down. You can't do this with all fabric, but this one I can. So we shall proceed. Now I have cut my fabric and I have two of each. At the crotch, this is where I'm going to join it. So I've closed the legs up and we've now got a back and front. I'm showing you this point here that I'm stitching down the side seam, which is down the leg side. That's where I'm going to stitch it first. Here I have stitched it and there we have a back and a front together. I folded it back up and as you can see there's a bit of the fabric showing there, showing you the back side of it. Now the crotch is being sewn up all the way around because there's no zip going to be put in and the legs have been sewn together as well. At this stage it's waiting to be hemmed. The stage where we're going to put the elastic on. So the two are sewn up together now, two legs. So all we need to do now is put the elastic on. So here I've got a 2-inch elastic and I've sewn it together already. So you can either do your waistline, measure your waistline and take 2 inches off of it, off the elastic, so that to allow for stretching, or you can make it as tight as you wish. So as you can see, this is almost half the size of what the waistline is. So we're going to gather. There's two ways of doing this. We can either sew the elastic, pin the elastic pin it halfway, then fold it again and pin it quarter of a way. I'll do that now. Mark it. So we pin the elastic to say where the halfway mark is, and then from the halfway mark we do quarter and mark it again. So by the time we stitch the elastic on, it's evenly. So I've said there's two ways of doing this. Now we either stitch the elastic on, well at the moment we pin it, so we stitch it onto the fabric. So we'll stretch it to the quarter of the there, so we stitch it so all that gathers up, that quarter, and we'll do this all the way round. So when we stitch the elastic onto the fabric, now this will stop the elastic from spinning around inside the fabric because it's stitched directly on it. And then when we stitch the fabric onto the elastic here, we stitch it here, then what we do is we then go again and turn this under twice and stitch it again. We're lowering it, so we've got a finish of that. So the elastic is nice and that, and that's a nice way, a nice neat way in. Other than that, failing that, because your machine might not be able to cope, what we do is it's almost like we hem it. So we put the elastic inside the fabric, we pin the fabric down, we go all the way around and we pin it around and then we stitch the fabric down, not touching the lining at all. So that is another way of doing it. Now I'm going to do it the other way to stop the lining from running, and you'll see the end result. So I'll do that, and then what I'll do is the bottom of the trousers, all I've got to do now is to stitch this down. Just do a little hem, stitch it down, and it's finished. And that's your trousers finished. So I'll do that now and bring it back to the table. As you can see, it's gathered here nicely. You can see it's always got a pencil form shape. So, and there's a lot of gatherings underneath here as well. Evenly spread them, and you can pin them down if you wish here in certain places, just to hold it, because you don't want too much fabric. So we're pulling the fabric here so we get it nice and tightly here. And then what we do is we hold it and we stretch it, make sure still controlling the fabric, and on a low stitch close to the edge line. So stretch the fabric as you are sewing it. Open it up to its fullest. Don't worry too much if some of the fabric is pleating itself. By the time it's fully gathered up, no one's going to notice it. Stretch it and take your time. So there we have our waistband. So there is your elasticated waistband. Beautiful. And inside it, it's nice and neat. And that elastic's never going to twist on you. So we're going to now hem the bottom, and then our trousers is finished. You can also do the same thing to the bottom of this as well, and put a half inch elastic in it, or even a small one, or just leave it free. So we're going to whip this round. I'm only giving it, say, just less than a half inch turning. And that's done. It's finished. Ready to be worn.